1 to 10, Deuteronomy chapter 30, from verses 1 to 10. In the book of the law, read, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim hath driven thee, and shalt return unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then Yahweh thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahweh thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahweh thy Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. And Yahweh thy Elohim will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahweh, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. And Yahweh thy Elohim will make thee plenteous in every work of thy hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. For Yahweh will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy father. If thou hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law. And if thou turn unto Yahweh with all thy Elohim, with all thy heart, and with all thy soul. Praise the Most High Yah. That was Deuteronomy. Adabarim, these be the words, chapter 30, verses 1 through 10. Now we turn to the prophet Isaiah, otherwise known as Yeshaya, chapter 58. Yeshaya chapter 58, verses 12 through 14. Yeshaya 58, verses 12 through 14. And the prophecy reads, and they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations. And thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. If thou turn away thy foot from Shabbat, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call Shabbat a delight, the holy of Yahweh honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own word, then shalt thou delight thyself in Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of Yahweh hath spoken. That was Isaiah chapter 58, verses 12, 13, and 14. Now we turn to the book or the epistle of the Acts of the Apostles. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, verses 38 to 44. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, verses 38 to 44. And the epistle reads, "Be it known unto you, therefore, men and brethren, that through this man is preached unto you the forgiveness of sins, and by him all that believe are justified from all things which you could not be justified by the law of Moses. Beware therefore lest that come upon you which is spoken of in the prophets. Behold, ye despisers, and wonder and perish. For I work a work in your days, a work which ye shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you." And when the Yahudim were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Shabbat. Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Yahudim and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of Yahweh. And the next Shabbat day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of Yahweh. Praise the Most High Yah. That was Acts chapter 13, verses 38 to 44. Now we turn to the epistle that was addressed to the Hebrews. The epistle written to the Hebrews, Hebrews chapter 8, Hebrews chapter 8, verses 6 through 12. Hebrews chapter 8, verses 6 through 12. But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yahudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith Yahweh. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a Elohim, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. Was the epistle written to the Hebrews, chapter 8, verses 6 through 12. Now we turn to the book of the revelation of the Mashiach Yahushai. The revelation of the Messiah Yahushai, revelation of the Messiah, Revelation chapter 14. Revelation 14, we'll read verses 6, 7, and 12 of Revelation chapter 14. And this prophecy reads, And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, and kindred, and tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear Yahweh, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, and the sea, and the fountains of water. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahushai. It's Revelation chapter 14, verses 6, 7, and 12. Now we turn to Revelation chapter 11. Revelation chapter 11, the seventh trumpet, beginning at verse 15 and going down from verse 15 to verse 19. Revelation chapter 11, from verse 15 to 19. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Elohim and of his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before Yahweh on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped Yahweh, saying, we give thee thanks, O Yahweh al Shaddai, which art and wast and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. And the temple of Yahweh was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. That was Revelation chapter 11, verses 15 to 19. And last but not least, for the morning reading, we go back to Yeshaya, otherwise known as Isaiah, and we go back to Yeshaya, and we're looking at the last division, the last chapter of Yeshaya, chapter 66, from the verses numbered 22, 23, and 24. That is Yeshaya, Isaiah 66, the verses numbered 22, 23, and 24. And the prophecy reads, for as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. Thus ends the morning reading. Thank you, Sister Josie, for posting the scriptures. Praise the Most High Yah. Now we are looking at Deuteronomy chapter 14. We have studied the first 13 chapters of the book of Deuteronomy. These be the words of Dabarim, the book of the law. And this morning we're looking at chapter 14. And chapter 14 will go into the diet in terms of what we should not be eating and what we can eat, as well as tithing. We'll go into tithing, and it will talk about a little bit, it will allude a little bit to the feast, although chapter 16 goes into the feast in great detail. But we're actually going to allude to the feast, and we're going to talk about tithing. We're going to talk about diet. Praise the Most High Yah. The diet of the holy people of Yah. I want to also remind everyone, as we're reading this book of the law, that these things are not for everybody. They weren't given for the whole world. They were given for the chosen people. I want you all to understand that. These things were given for the chosen people to be an example to the earth and draw others to the Most High Yah. But they were originally given for the chosen people. So if you run into Gentiles and they say unto you, we believe everything is clean. Well, they would believe that because they serve a different God. They serve a different one, not the one that you serve. This is for the chosen people. So if you're going to be among the chosen people of Yah, according to these scriptures, the King James scriptures, then these laws are for you. Okay? So you have no need to argue with people about the scriptures, because many people use the scriptures for different purposes. For the chosen people of Yah, the scriptures, and of course, particularly the book of Deuteronomy, represents the history of our people. It also represents instructions in the commandments, statutes, and judgments from our God. And it also represents prophecy, which is showing us the future that we might be prepared. That is what it represents to us. But to others, it represents the service to a different God. It represents the opportunity to make money or religion. It represents an opportunity to control the minds of other people and gain power over them. This same Bible is used for that purpose. We do not use the Bible for that purpose, but our purpose is to serve the Creator, to be faithful servants to the Creator for His righteousness' sake and for His honor and His glory. We do not look to serve man for man's honor and man's glory. We do not look that we would be honored and glorified, but we look to honor and glorify our Creator, the maker of heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is. We look to give Him honor and glory. So these words are for Israelites only. Someone might say, well, and somebody actually asked me this week, what is your religion? They asked me. And I said, I'm an Israelite. And he said, oh, a Jew. And I said, no, not a Jew, an Israelite. We were standing at his computer and he did a Google search on Israelite. And it came out the European people that are in the land of the state of Israel. And I said, no, not them. And just below that came a website for Black Hebrew Israelites. Being that that was the closest thing, I said, that's it right there. So he clicked on that and he said, oh, can only Black people be in your religion? And I said, no, anyone can be in our belief and serve our Creator. Okay, he said, I'm going to do more research on that. And I left it at that. But that is the truth of it. There are people who are direct descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? There are people that are direct descendants of these prophets. We believe that these people, among these people, are those that came on slave ships from West Africa over the last 500 years or so. That these people are direct descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But Messiah showed us through his Hebrew prophet Paul or Shaul that he also intended that his word would also go among peoples who are not direct descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, so that they might also have opportunity to serve the Creator also. We'll talk more about that later. So for today's purposes, as we're studying Deuteronomy, this is for Israelites who are direct descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And also those people who may not be direct descendants, maybe you're descendants of the Ham, or you're direct descendants of Japhet, the other two sons of Noah, or maybe you're descendants of Shem, but of other than Arphaxad, which where the promised seed came from. Anybody else can be grafted in through the Hebrew Messiah. I want to make sure that is understood. You can be grafted into the nation of Israel through the Hebrew Messiah. Why did I say Hebrew Messiah? Because there is a Messiah out in the earth today that people worship who is a Anglo-Saxon or a Caucasian man that developed a religion called Christianity, which religion does not exist in the Bible, but which is Bible-based in that some scriptures are used to create this religion. That is a different Messiah than the one we worship. The one we worship comes through the tribe of Judah, of the nation of Israel, and he came to save his people from their sins. We call him Yahweh Shai. The Bible calls him Jesus, but we have found that there is no Hebrew translation for the word Jesus. Some people say Joshua, but that is not a Hebrew translation. It is just another English way of saying Jesus. But we know there was no J's in the Hebrew alphabet. There's no J's even in the Greek alphabet. And there was even no J's in the English alphabet at the birth of the Hebrew Messiah. So they did not call him Jesus, and we understand that from our studies of the scriptures. Therefore, we call him by the Hebrew word Yahweh Shai, which means Yah exists to save. Yah exists to save. Yah, Hawa, Yah, his name, Hawa, to exist, and Shai, to save. Yah exists to save. Yahweh Shai. You shall call his name Yahweh Shai, for he will save his people. He will save his people from their sins. So today we're talking about the holy people of Yah, and we're starting off dealing with the diet of the holy people of Yah. First, let us look again, and just because the scriptures say what I just said, I want to read it from the scriptures first anyway. So let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 14 from verse 1 and 2 and 3. Deuteronomy chapter 14 from verse 1 and 2 and 3. Let us look at the scriptures. Of these be the words. And the scriptures read, Ye, that is you Israelites, are the children of Yahweh your Elohim. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. Let's stop right here. So he first makes a statement. You are Yahweh's children. He has chosen you to be set apart from all the people upon the face of the earth. I think that's pretty plain, right? So if I say that the Israelite people, the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are set apart from all the people of the earth, I'm not making that up, am I? It's right there in Deuteronomy 14:2. The Most High says it to his people in the scriptures. So now, some Gentile might say, well, I eat pork and swine. I'm not the chosen people. Not according to our belief. You might be according to your belief. See, this is how you answer them. I'm telling you how to answer them to avoid the argument. Don't argue with people about the scriptures, about your religion. You understand? Don't argue with people. You say, in your belief, you might be the chosen people. You can be that if that's in your belief. In our belief, you're not. In our belief, only Israelites are the chosen people in our belief. Because that's what it said there in Deuteronomy 14:2. Did it not? We just read it there. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Yahweh hath chosen thee. He's chosen us to be his peculiar people above all nations that are upon the face of the earth. So right? So you see that, right? He has chosen us to be his peculiar people, his holy people, his set apart people. As holy people to the Most High, he has given us instructions. Don't put cuts in your skin or make any baldness. Apparently, there was a ritual of making baldness on the head for the dead. He said, don't do that, and don't cut your skin. You know what people do to cut their skin? People do cut themselves today. It's a phenomenon that goes on, especially among young people. They cut themselves, right? You've heard of that. Also, people put tattoos on themselves. Do not people put tattoos on themselves? People put tattoos on themselves, right? But the Most High does not want his people doing that. Well, we say, well, why? Why? It's my body. See, that's the way a Gentiles think. That's the way a Gentile think. It's my body. The Israelite doesn't think like that. You see, this is the thing, brothers and sisters. We must understand, as people that are set apart for the Most High Yah, we are not like the other people. See, somebody might say, it's my body. If I want to put my body naked on a magazine, I can do that. I'm glorifying my God with my body. Well, you know what? That's their God. And if that's how they glorify their God, that's their business, isn't it? But for us, our body is the temple of the Most High Yah. Isn't it true? It's not our body, really. It's his. So we don't just do anything we want with it if it's his. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? Does that make sense? Is everybody following me on that? So we just don't do anything that we want to do with this body, because this body does just not belong to us. It belongs to the Creator. It is his temple. It is to be, and of course, as Israelites, our purpose upon the planet Earth, our purpose and aim is to bring honor and glory to the Most High Yah. That's our purpose and aim. And so we look at 1 Corinthians chapter 3. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Notice what it says in 1 Corinthians 3. And I want to also reiterate, as we get ready to read these scriptures, that from the pen written from the Holy Ghost through the Apostle Shaul or Paul, I want to understand that the principles he outlines in his epistles are principles coming from the Torah, the Psalms, the instruction of the prophets. That's what his principles come from. Anybody that thinks otherwise is actually deceived, because the whole scripture is about the nation of Israel. The whole scripture is about the Most High Yah, his covenant, and of course, Mashiach Yahushua. So let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 3, and let's start at verse 16, and let's go down to verse 17. 16 and 17. Know ye not that ye are the temple of Yahweh, and that the Spirit of Yahweh dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple of Yahweh, him shall Yahweh destroy. For the temple of Yahweh is holy, which temple ye are. I want you to understand something, brothers and sisters. There are those that mistakenly think that that principle of being the temple of Yah is a New Testament principle. As we see here in Deuteronomy 14, that is not true, right? Because he's telling you, you are his holy people and you should not just eat any abominable thing. But there are people that think this is just a New Testament phenomenon. That is not true. What the Apostle Paul just gave us came straight from the book of the law, okay? Came straight from the book of the law, as does all the principles of the so-called New Testament. Okay, the New Testament simply magnifies and uplifts Yahushua, the Messiah, and magnifies the doctrine that comes through Yahweh and from Yahushua that causes his people to be cleansed from all their sin, because that's his name, Yahushua, to save his people from all their sin. That is the doctrine of justification by faith. That is magnified in the New Testament, and it must be, because it helps your eyes to open to the whole scripture. And it causes you to be free from all the chains of sin. If you receive this doctrine in all sincerity and you practice the doctrine of justification by faith, you will overcome all your sin. Guarantee you will overcome all your sin, because that's what the doctrine is given for you to overcome all. Okay? Praise the Most High Yah. So he tells us, his people, in Deuteronomy 14, you are the children of Yah. You don't put cutting on yourselves, no tattoos. Don't cut yourself, no tattoos. Well, somebody say, well, how you know cutting has to do with tattoos? There's some people like that. And you know, people are not today there are people that don't want to really search the scriptures for answers. They just want to ask questions to create trouble. They really don't want to search the scriptures for answers to anything. But in so doing, sometimes they confuse the true people of Yah. So let's look at Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28, real quick. Leviticus 19:28. Leviticus 19:28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh, Yah Elohim. See, don't print any marks upon you. You see, it's very plain there, isn't it? People listening to me that didn't know this principle before I just said. They didn't know, and the marks they got printed on them when they was in the heathen world are still on them, right? So they got these tattoos on them from when they was heathens. I don't know if you can have it taken off. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But you must be ready to explain to people, this came upon me when I was a heathen, when I was acting like a heathen and doing heathen things. May the Most High have mercy on me. That's all you got to say. May the Most High have mercy on me. Okay? See that? There you go. Can you print the words I just said so Brother Frank can see it, Sister Josie? I did this when I was a heathen. May the Most High have mercy on me. Yes, it hurts to take it off. Does it? That makes sense then. That makes sense. Well, then that would be up to the individual whether they want to have it taken off or not. But praise the Most High Yah for his mercy and grace upon those that have done such foolishness. Okay? Thank you, Sister Josie. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Now he starts off by saying, as a holy people of Yah, that is when I say he, excuse me, Yahweh starts off by saying, the Most High starts off by saying, you are the holy people of Yah. And the first thing he connects with the holiness, the first thing he connects is he says, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. That's the first thing he says, right? The first thing he says, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. Okay, there you go. There you go. So now we need to talk about diet in the Bible. We need to talk about diet in the Bible. Now he's going to go here into dietary laws in terms of what he calls abominable. But the diet didn't begin in Deuteronomy. It didn't begin in Leviticus. Where did the diet for the created person, where did the diet for man begin? It began in Genesis. The diet began in the beginning. It began in the Garden of Eden. That's where the diet began. So let's take a brief historical look at how the Most High Yah has given diet to man and has adjusted the diet for man's sake, and also how we're going to eat when we get to the kingdom. First, let's start in Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1. Genesis 1. And we're going to read Genesis 1. I'm going to read from verse 26 down to verse 31. Watch very carefully. Verses 26 to 31 of Genesis chapter 1. Barashith in the beginning. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them. And Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So now he gives Adam and Eve dominion over the earth. This is in their sinless state. He gives them dominion over the earth, and he gives them a diet. And he tells them their diet is going to consist, quote, every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Now look at this now. We recognize the herb bearing seed and the fruit that grows on trees. That's fruits and things that have seeds in them, right? So basically, we can say, if it was in today's language, modern language, the diet of Adam and Eve was a vegan diet. We can say that it was originally a vegan diet. Yes, it was a vegan diet. And not only was it a vegan diet, it was a fruit-based vegan diet based on foods that had seeds in them. Now we know that things grow from seeds, yes? So now if you were to eat fruits and things that grow out the ground and melons and things that have seeds in them, and you live on the earth as Adam and Eve did, of course, the weather is perfect. There was no winter. They had perfect weather all the time. And now you're going to eliminate, you're going to defecate seed. It's going to go into the ground and it's going to decompose and it's going to plant in the earth and it's going to create more trees. It's going to grow stuff. The seed that you eliminate is going to grow things. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? So now you're eating foods that have seeds in it, and you're eliminating on the ground, and your elimination is bringing forth seed, and now you're going to grow more. Huh? And if you spit out the seed, if you wanted to, you could spit out the seeds, and you could grow more. So now is food will be continually abundant throughout the earth. It would come forth, right? Now that's the original diet that was given to our parents in the Garden of Eden. We're going to go back to that diet in large part because when we get into the kingdom, we're going to eat fruits off a certain tree. So fruit will be part of our diet. It may not be the only part, but it's going to be a large part of what we eat. And when you think of things that grow on trees, of course, we know the apple, the orange, the banana, we know the almond, we know the walnut. All of these things grow on trees, and there's thousands and mangoes of various varieties, and there's so many things that grow on trees. And then of course there's herb bearing seeds like strawberries, like melon, the melon family, right? Like cucumbers and tomatoes or fruits and things that grow. There's things, there's thousands and thousands, and that's on the earth what we know now. So can you imagine what's going to be in the kingdom? Where there's things we don't even know that's in the kingdom that we're going to have. And now, stuff has been blighted because of sin. We're going to go into that in a minute. But things have been blighted, right? Things have been blighted because of sin. They have been denigrated because of sin. Because of sin, the food doesn't have the same power in it that Adam had. It does not. Even they did I read an article. I can't tell you where I read it. Maybe you can Google it. I can't tell you where I read it right now. But I read an article that said that an apple from 100 years ago has 3 times the nutritional value as the apple does today. Just to show you how denigrated the food has become. The apple from 100 years ago has 3 times the nutritional value as an apple today. Okay? But when we get into the kingdom, we're going to eat fruits of trees again. Notice what it says in Ezekiel chapter 47. Ezekiel chapter 47. And we're going to also read Revelation, because Ezekiel 47 is Revelation. Many people don't realize that. But let's look at Ezekiel 47. And we're going to have verse 12. We're looking at verse 12. Watch what it says, Ezekiel 47 and verse 12. And by the river upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for meat. That is meat. The word meat is not what we consider flesh. It is food. All trees for food shall be grown on this side of the bank of the river. And the river, by the way, as we're going to see, is the river of life, the water of life. So trees are going to grow by the side of the river, trees that grow food for us to eat, whose leaf shall not fade, they'll never die, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. You can't eat the fruit till it's bare. It's impossible. It'll keep growing. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because their waters they issued out of the sanctuary, and the fruit shall be for meat, and the leaf for medicine. Ooh. Healing and power. And you know the fruits that grow on that tree ain't going to be denigrated. It's going to be sinless place. No sin to denigrate anything. You say, why medicine? Why medicine? The Bible tells us when we get to the kingdom, we're going to grow up as calves of the stall. See, when we get into the kingdom, we're going to be but babies. Not little babies the way you see now, but babies in the sense that we're going to grow up into our fullest stature the way we were supposed to before sin. Adam never developed the way he was supposed to because he sinned. He was going to develop even more. Never got the chance to because of sin. But we're going to. And we're going to grow up and develop even more. Who knows into what? Most High knows. But that's why you're going to have the leaves, the vegetation. You're going to have the fruits to eat. Fruits we don't know nothing about. That fruits you can just eat and eat and eat, and it's never going to exhaust the tree that you're eating from. You will never exhaust it. You know how sometimes now you look at it. I know some of you look at, we go apple picking, you look at a certain apple, you say, oh, that apple looks good. I want that one. Boom, you pluck it, right? Or you say, oh, that mango on the mango tree looks really good and juicy and sweet. I want that one, because they don't all look the same. But when you go to the kingdom, they're all going to be good, man. You won't be able to exhaust the tree, and the fruit will give power to your system. It's going to give you eternal power, because that's how Adam and Eve sustained their eternal existence, by having access to the tree of life and eating the fruit of the tree of life, you see. And we will also sustain our eternal existence. Let's look at Revelation chapter 22. We're talking about diet for the holy nation. Revelation chapter 22. Revelation 22, I'm going to begin at verse 1. Going to begin at verse 1 and go down to verse 5 of Revelation chapter 22. Same thing as Ezekiel 47. But notice what it says. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, there the tree of life was there, the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. They shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no light, no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for the Most High Yahweh giveth them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. Praise the Most High Yah. So we're going to eat fruit again. It will be the majority of our diet. It would be a good thing if people had the majority of their diet as fruit today, but the problem is twofold. Twofold is the problem. First off, as I alluded to earlier, the fruits have been denigrated. So you don't have the same power. You know, I live on fruits many times. Still often I'll take a day and eat on fruit, and I've done fruits for many months at a time. But the thing is, when you eat fruits today, if you're going to live on fruit, you got to eat a lot of fruit, because you need the nutrition. And to get the equal nutrition, you got to eat lots of fruits. I mean, many days when I lived on fruit, I would eat 10, 15 bananas. I would eat, 5, 6, 7, 8 mangoes just to get the nutrition that I needed, my body required. I had to eat a lot of fruit. See, so it's a little bit changed, and so let's go into that change. But when we get back to the kingdom, we're gonna eat fruit. We're not even gonna have to cook the fruit. It's gonna be raw fruit. The original ministry name of our ministry was Raw Remnant, because we knew we were going to be eating raw fruits when we get to heaven. Raw Remnant. But now it's Raw Hebrew Remnant. Praise the Most High, Yah. Now, the diet changed after sin. The diet changed after sin. After sin, the diet changed, because now when sin enters the earth, death enters the earth. And when death enters the earth, things change, right? Things change. And so the ground was cursed and things change with the diet. So let's look at the diet in Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. I'm going to begin at verse 17 and go down to verse 24. Verse 17 down to verse 24 of Genesis chapter 3. This is after Adam sinned against the Most High, and sin is now contaminated the earth. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. Unto Adam also and to his wife did Yahweh Most High make coats of skin and clothed them. And Yahweh Most High said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore, Yahweh Most High sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So now Adam and Eve were going to die because they were cut off from access to the tree of life. See, that's what caused them to die. If even in their sinful state, they had been given access to the tree of life, they would live forever in sin. But the Most High said, no, we're not going to allow them to do that. And so he drove them, he pushed them, he kicked them out of the Garden of Eden, and he put a guard at the tree of life so that no man could get it. And of course, the tree of life is gone now. It's not on the earth anymore. Obviously, he took it, like he took Enoch, like he took Aliyah. He took the tree of life, obviously, because it's not on the earth anymore, because nobody has access to it to eat, to live forever. But we see the tree of life in the midst of the New Jerusalem. It's there. And it will come back to the earth in the midst of the New Jerusalem, in the spot where it was before. And the water of life will come out of it, as it did before. Okay? But Adam was driven from it. And so now Adam had to grow his food. So now he's getting grains, he's getting vegetables, plus whatever fruits he could get. Right? So now the diet is still a vegan diet, but now it includes grains, it includes vegetables, it includes fruits also, and he can make bread, right? From the grain, he can make bread. It includes all of these things. Right. So the diet changed. But man continued to sin. See, these are for all these people out here that worship diet. There are people that worship diet, and they believe if everybody was only vegan, the earth would be like heaven. That is not true according to the scriptures, because everybody was eating vegan and The Bible says that the earth was filled with violence to the point where the Most High said, I'm going to destroy man off the face of the earth. So it ain't veganism that causes peace on earth. Don't let anybody fool you with these new age philosophies. Veganism does not bring peace on earth. Yes, you kill less animals if you're vegan, but sin still remains. You see, the people that teach that doctrine, they don't believe in the Most High Yah. They don't believe in it. They believe in they call the universe God, right? It's the universe. That's how they think, right? So that's their God. Whatever they want to serve, that's their business. We don't serve that. And we can see right here in the scriptures that as men began to multiply on the earth, the Bible says that the earth was filled with violence. The earth was corrupt before Yahweh. And he said, I'm going to destroy man off with the flood. So it wasn't veganism that stopped the violence. Okay? I'm not agreeing that that there should be slaughterhouses full of cows and that millions of pounds and billions of pounds of cows and chickens are strangled and slaughtered every year. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. That's unclean meat right there. We're going to talk more about that. That's unclean meat. But I'm talking about people that try to make a religion on the other extreme and say, well, veganism will save the earth. It will not. Sin is on the earth. And as long as sin on the earth, sin must be destroyed before the earth is redeemed. And it will be. But now we're talking about diet. So there was a flood. There was a flood. And after the flood, the earth had been destroyed by the flood and rearranged after the flood. For everything had changed after the flood. Everything changed. And so now they come off the ship that Noah was told to build, and they need food to eat. What are they going to eat? They have been on the ship for a year, and they need food to eat. What are they going to eat? Let's take a look at Genesis chapter 9. Genesis chapter 9. Genesis 9, beginning at verse 1. Beginning at verse 1. Going to read from verse 1 down to verse, let's see, verse 1 down to verse 5 of Genesis chapter 9. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, ye shall not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of every man. At the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. See? So he said, now he changed the diet again. Now, wait a minute. They just come off the ship. And I want you to notice the difference. He gave Adam and Eve dominion over the earth. But Adam and Eve, when they had dominion over the earth, listen carefully, there was no sin on the earth. Adam and Eve were at peace with every created thing. Are you understanding me? Testing 1, 2, 3. When Adam and Eve were given dominion, they were at peace with every created thing. They were in harmony with the creation. The animals weren't scared of them, and they weren't scared of the animals. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? The animals weren't scared of them, and they weren't scared of the animals. No animal hurt them, and no animal hurt each other. And everything was at peace and in harmony. But now, after the flood, things are different. And the Most High said, the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth. See, now it's different. Now there's fear. The animals must fear man, and man must fear the animals. And man has been given power over the animals so that he can kill them as he needs to. And he said, I've given you everything to eat. Everything. As I gave you the green herb before, now you can just eat everything. But don't eat the blood. Okay? So when they first came off the ship, he said, you could eat everything that moves, but don't eat the blood. See? He restricted every man. He restricted every man. That is Shem, the children of Shem, the children of Japhet, and the children of Ham. He restricted every man from eating blood. You see that? It wasn't just Israelite. He restricted every man from eating blood. But We know man did not follow that, right? Man but did not follow that, right? He did not follow that. Man eat the blood with the flesh. Even to this day, man eat the blood with the flesh. You say, how you like your burger? Medium rare. That means with the blood, right? I want the blood in it. How you like your steak? I like my steak medium rare or rare. I like my steak mostly rare. That means you like it with the blood dripping in it, right? So people still eat the blood to this day. When they slaughter the animals, they don't make sure that all the blood is drained out of it before they wrap it up in plastic and send it to your local grocer. Most of the blood is still in it, and people are eating it with the blood. So therefore, this is one of the many reasons that the curse is upon the earth. The curse is upon the earth, man, because the people are eating the blood. And then later on, we know that he separated his chosen people and told his chosen, you are the holy people. You shall not eat blood. Right? So that's why we don't eat chopped meat, because all chopped meat is ground up blood and guts of the animal. That's all it is. They can call it 100% beef because no other animal might be with it, but it's ground up blood and guts of the animal. Okay? You can call the blood of a cow 100% beef because it is the cow's blood. You understand? You can call the blood of a cow 100% beef because it's a cow's blood, right? Because it's the cow. So cow's blood is 100% beef because cow is beef, right? See, there you go. So we don't eat that stuff because all you're eating is cooked blood. You can't eat burgers because all you're eating is cooked blood, man. You can't do it. You just can't do it if you're an Israelite. Not if you want to be faithful to the Most High Yah. But look, there's so many other things you can eat, right? I mean, if you wanted to eat flesh, you can boil the blood out of the meat. You can boil the blood out and you don't eat the internal organs. You don't eat the liver or the gizzards. You don't eat the lungs or the heart of the animal. That's not for you to eat. You eat the shoulder, you eat the thigh, you eat the breast. That's what he gave us to eat. He did not give us the internal organs with all that blood coming through it for you to eat. This is for the Israelites, not for everybody. Got to remember that. This is for the Israelites, not for everybody. So we don't eat the blood with the meat. Okay? So he gave that to them to eat. So now we go back to Deuteronomy chapter 14. And so now he is separating his people from the rest of the people on the earth, because now the people on the earth are eating blood. People on earth are eating abominable things like blood. They're eating not only that, they're eating the fat of the animal. I want you to also notice this in Leviticus, before we go back, Leviticus chapter 7. I want you to notice this, Leviticus chapter 7. Watch this, Leviticus 7 from verse 22 down to verse 27. Leviticus 7, 22 to 27. Watch it. And again, this is for Israelites, not for everybody, for the nation. It's for the nation. Okay? And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, ye shall eat no manner of fat of ox or of sheep or of goat, and the fat of the beast that died of itself, and the fat of that which is torn with beasts, may be used for any other purpose, but ye shall in no wise eat of it. For whosoever eateth the fat of the beast, of which men offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, even the soul that eateth it shall be cut off from his people. Moreover, ye shall eat no manner of blood, whether it be of fowl or of beast, in any of your dwellings. Whatsoever soul it be that eateth any manner of blood, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. Now, brothers and sisters, let me just make sure I explain to you. This is where Mashiach Yahushai comes in. For we have done these things. We have eaten meat with blood. We have eaten animal fat from the animal, from his carcass. You're not supposed to do that. So now you come to me, Yahushua, you ask for forgiveness of your sin and the sins of your fathers that have eaten these abominable things, and he will cleanse you from your sin. And from now, you determine you're not going to eat these abominable things anymore. Praise the Most High Yah. So he tells you, don't eat the fat of the animal. You know what? The animal fat, they use animal fat to create candles. You can use, he said you can use it for other purposes. You're just not supposed to eat it. So you can use animal fat for other things. You're just not supposed to eat it. You understand? Don't eat the animal fat. Don't eat the animal blood. But the blood you can't use for nothing else. He said just pour that out. Get rid of the blood. Get rid of the blood. Just pour that out as water. He said pour it upon the ground as water. Get rid of it. Yes. Diners do use animal fat to cook with. That's where you get lard. They use pig fat, lard. Now, nowadays, they're more careful because people have gotten up on that. So they use vegetable shortening. But they used to use lard, which is pig fat. Yeah, pig fat. Yeah, pig fat is not only fat, but it's pig as well, which we'll see is an abominable thing to the Most High to eat. So now he is telling his chosen people, back to Deuteronomy 14 now. So now you have a little history of the diet. You know where we're going. We're headed toward a fruit-based diet in heaven. That's where we're going to be, fruit-based diet. And I tell you, if you can get some good, ripe fruit, and it's not the only thing you can eat, but I'm saying you can get some good, ripe fruit, eat it. Good for you. And we're blessed that we can get bananas. Bananas grow on the earth in abundance and they ripen proper, even when, they're in different climates. Not all fruits are available in all climates. You live in tropical places, you can get more access to readily available fruit that's grown nearby than you can in cold climates, even though people ship fruit in different places. They ship it. When they ship fruit, I want you to know they take it off the vine green, very green, right? And some fruit, like bananas, will grow, will continue to ripen perfectly, even after it's taken off the vine green and gassed and all the stuff they do to it. It will still grow and have those spots on it where you're supposed to eat it, like the sugars develop proper. But other fruits don't do it so well. So like, you take a mango off the tree or a peach when it's green and you ship it to a cold climate. That's why in the winter you may see mangoes available in your local market, but mostly they're going to be nasty because the sugars are not going to properly develop because the air is cold outside. They were taken green off of the tree and shipped to you and me, and so therefore they don't come out proper. Well, you notice the mangoes are better in the winter, in the spring and summer. Why? Because the weather is warmer, and so they're taken off green, but now the air is warm and they can still ripen. Amazing thing, fruits. They survive lots of abuse, but that is the fruits. So now the Most High has given us to eat what? He's given us bread, grains, fruits, vegetables, right? He's given us all these things to eat. He's even given us seasonings to put in there, herbal seasonings to make it taste better, right? Giving us that too. So now he's going to tell us, he's already told us two things that he finds abominable. He's already told us blood of the animal and fat of the animal. He told us already, don't eat that. Don't eat the blood or the fat. Cut that out. See, the Israelites were taught they killed the animal a certain way. They immediately drained his blood while it was still warm. They didn't freeze it. They drained it while it was still warm, get all the blood out of the animal. They boiled it. They cut the fat off of it. And that's what they had left to eat. The flesh, the muscle, generally the muscles of the animal, the thigh muscle, the breast muscle, the shoulder muscle, especially if you look at a cow or you look at chickens, the breast, the thighs, the breasts of the chicken, those muscles, shoulder muscles, those you can eat. But you don't want to eat the internal organs of the animal. And now he's going to not only show us that, he's going to show us what animals we shouldn't be touching. So let's take a look at it. Deuteronomy chapter 14. We're going to begin at verse 4 and go down to verse 6. Deuteronomy 14, from verse 4 to verse 6. Notice what he said. These are the beasts which ye shall eat. So he's telling you of animals, this is what you can eat. Ox, which we know today as cows and bulls, right? You can eat those. Sheep, you can eat. Goats, you can eat. Okay, so ox, things in the cow family, your ox, your sheep, your goats, you could your cows. That's why people eat beef. Of course, the beef that people eat today is unclean. You say, brother, but he just said we can eat it. Why are you saying it's unclean? Because I'm going to tell you, if the blood is in it and you eat it, let me ask you, is it unclean? If the blood is in it and you eat it, is it unclean? Is it unclean if the blood is in it? Or if you eat it with the fat, is it unclean? It's unclean. Even if it's an animal he said you can eat. Unclean. See? You understand? That's the difference. So if you get it with no blood in, they done drain the blood out of it. You go get kosherized and organic and all that. Not only that, if they feed the animal all kind of drugs to make their shoulder look bigger, to make the breast look bigger and plumper, and they put all kind of drugs in it to make that happen, and then they put all kind of lye chemicals to make the blood look really red for you. They look really red so that you think it's real healthy. Is it unclean now? Is the animal meat unclean? It is unclean. It is unclean. So if you're going to eat these things, brothers and sisters, make sure they're organic, they're grass-fed, and they're killed properly. You understand? And make sure when you get it, you drain the blood as much as you boil that blood out of it before you eat it, because you don't want to eat blood. Now, me, myself, I avoid the situation altogether because I don't eat any of these animals. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat any of these animals. I avoid the situation altogether because I don't want to take no chance in eating blood. So I just avoid the situation altogether. You understand? I avoid it completely. But you may not want to do that. Fine. But you just don't eat the blood. Don't eat the blood. So the ox family, the sheep and the goats, fine. Verse 5, the hart, the roebuck, the fallow deer, the wild goat, the pygarg, and the wild ox and the cameos, these you can eat. These are in the deer family. See? So you got, today you got these roebuck, they call it roebuck, fallow deer, roebuck, hart. So that, you can eat deer. Matter of fact, to be quite honest with you, in my opinion, and I'm, it's just me, but the deer is probably the cleanest meat to eat, I would think. And the reason I say that is because deer are raised by themselves. Like no man has got deer in a factory somewhere. No man has got deer, in a pen somewhere, growing up and plugging it with all kind of drugs so they can be plumper. When you get a deer, you killing it wild. You understand? You killing it wild. So now when you kill a deer, if you killing a deer to eat it, you got to know how to dress it properly. When I say dress it, I'm talking about, you skin it and you take the blood out of it. You hang it upside down and you get the blood out of it right away. Right? So now, that's about, if I was going to eat a meat of flesh, it would be deer because that would be the cleanest of the animals. It's in the wild, it's eating grass, it's eating its natural, food. It's a vegetarian animal. And if you're going to get it that way, the blood going to be drained, you're going to get it relatively fresh, right? Because they don't really sell deer meat in supermarkets, right? So people that get deer meat are generally out there hunting deer meat. Right, so they go out there, hunt it, and then they kill it, they drain it, and you can get it that way. Okay, you could get it that way. So I knew this guy, he just loved to kill, period. So he was using it as the excuse, but that was his thing. So he liked to go out and kill. He would kill frogs, bears, whatever. So he called himself doing good deeds, right? So he went and here in Virginia, they have a deer season, because the deer population is heavy. In many states, it's like this. The deer population is very heavy, and because man has built so many, houses and buildings and things, we chase the deer out of their habitat, so there's not as much space for the deer, but the deer is still multiplying. So they allow people to go and kill the deer to reduce their population. This man used to go out, kill the deer, and then go to the black neighborhood, call it poor neighborhood, go to the black neighborhood and give the deer meat to the people. That's what he would do. Okay, but the deer meat at least is clean. It's the clean meat, right? So you could eat the deer. It's clean if you're going to eat the flesh. That's probably the cleanest of the animals as far as flesh food that you're going to find that's not fish is the deer, because like I said, the deer is a wild animal. Yeah, it's the cleanest of all. That's what I'm just saying. This is just me. People might disagree with me, and that's fine. I'm not an expert, but I'm just saying from my observation, I see deer out in the wild, and they eating grass. They eating apples. They eating flowers of people. People don't like them because they used to eat them. My wife used to hate them because they eat all the flowers she grow, and we had apple trees, and we couldn't even get to the apples. The deer would have ate all the apples already. And I said, we might as well adopt the deer when we lived in a certain section, because I would pull up from work and there'd be like at least 5 or 10 of them in our front yard, man, just laying there. And when you're pulling up at night, you see see their eyes just all look red. One of them got scared, ran in my garage one time, you know. So I didn't eat the deer, but if I did, I'd have plenty of meat there because that's what happened. We had so many deer, you know. Now, we're going to get to that in a second, Sister Pandora. We're going to get to that in a second. So now, you see, you can eat of the deer family, the ox family, you know, the sheep family, the goat family. Okay, you got that? So you can eat of the oxes, the sheep, the goats. You can eat of the deer meat. You got that? So you can, but you got to make sure you don't eat the animal's fat, and you don't make sure you don't eat the blood. That is abominable to the Most High Yah. You got to be very careful. Okay, so now we go to verse 6 and 7. Verse 6, 7, and 8, actually. Verse 6, 7, and 8. Okay. And every beast that parteth the hoof and cleaveth the cleft into two claws, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that ye shall eat. Nevertheless, ye shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the cloven hoof, as the camel, and the hare, and the coney. For they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof. Therefore they are unclean unto you. And the swine, because it divided the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. Now let's stop right here. So the beast that parteth the hoof, that a cloven-footed beast, and it chews cud, what does that mean? A vegetarian. A vegetarian beast. Are you following me? Basically, a vegetarian. It cheweth the cud. It's a vegetarian beast. Are you following me? These are your vegetarian animals. Just like, for example, the deer is a vegetarian animal. The cow is a vegetarian animal. The sheep is a vegetarian animal. The goat is a vegetarian animal. What's not a vegetarian animal? A lion, a tiger, right? A wolf. They're not vegetarian animals. You don't eat them. Don't eat them. Okay, not vegetarian animals. Don't eat them. Okay. Then he said, even if they are vegetarian animals, but they don't have a cloven hoof, you don't eat them. So a rabbit is a vegetarian animal. It's vegetarian, but it's obviously got paws and not a hoof, right? A rabbit doesn't have a hoof; it has paws. So he said, no, you don't eat that. You don't eat the rabbit. Okay, don't eat the rabbit. Don't eat the rabbit. Don't eat the camel. Right? So a camel has a hoof, but apparently, even though they divide the hoof, okay, and they chew cud, but he said don't eat the camel, which means you don't eat horse meat either. You don't eat horse meat, or you don't eat the camel meat. Okay, okay, even though they're vegetarian animals and they divide the hoof, you don't eat their meat. Okay, and you don't eat the rabbit. Now we know today people eat all this stuff. Right? And of course, the swine. The swine is cloven hoof. The swine chew the cud, but the swine will eat anything. Isn't that right? A swine will eat anything. So he tells you, even though it does chew cud, it does eat vegetarian stuff, but it eats anything. Oh, horse don't have divided hoof? Okay, my mistake. But you're not supposed to eat the horse anyway. Okay? So don't eat the horse, don't eat the camel, don't eat the rabbit. Don't eat the swine. He said, don't even touch their dead carcass. Okay, let's stop right here for a minute. Now, where did among the Hebrews, where did swine eating come from in the United States of America? I'm just talking about the United States of America. Where did we learn to eat swine? Because when we came from Africa, we didn't eat swine. Where did we learn to eat swine? Well, let me tell you. It's been a long tradition of Europeans to eat swine. As a matter of fact, they celebrate, see, in the Israelite economy, we would celebrate by killing a goat or an ox or a sheep. You know, they heard they killed the fatted calf. That would be a celebration. But in the European economy, back in the day, they would kill and eat the head of a pig. They still do it to this day. Am I lying? Tell me I'm lying. They still do it to this day. They like to celebrate by eating the head of a pig. And it's just how they eat. But so when they came over here to the Americas from Europe, okay, and we were their slaves, they would eat the head of the pig, they would eat the shoulder, the breast, the thigh of the pig, the ribs of the pig, but the internal organs, where the doo-doo came,
like the intestines, the leftovers, they gave that to the slaves to eat. They would normally throw it away. But in order to feed the slaves that they didn't want to spend no money on, they gave them the leftover of the pig. And that's where we learn to eat the pig. And we learn, and not only here in America, but in Puerto Rico and in the Dominican Republic and in Cuba and in the middle, any Spanish places, they did the same thing, and they learned how to eat the pig. Well, they didn't eat it before, but they started eating it. And today you got people that don't know no better because it's tradition. And let me tell you, people of all colors are more into tradition than truth. But we as Israelites are into truth. So listen, we don't eat the pig. Now, the European person, the person of the sons of Japhet, it's a long tradition. They eat pig. That's their diet. That's their business. But if you are of Japhet and you come from the Anglo-Saxon and the Caucasian tribes, you don't eat the pig. You're going to be an Israelite and follow the Hebrew Messiah. You're not going to eat the pig no more. You understand? Even though your fathers ate it for centuries, you're not going to eat it. Because now you joining with the Hebrew. You joining with the Hebrew Messiah. You're not eating the pig no more. That makes sense, brothers and sisters? Chitlins are the intestines of the pig. Chitlins are the intestines of the pig. So what do you have? You have your small intestines, where the food gets processed, and the waste material come from there, and it goes into the lower intestine, and from the lower intestine, or in the human being they call it the colon, come out the doo-doo. That is the part of the pig they gave us to eat, the part where the doo-doo come out. That's where we would learn to eat the pig's doo-doo, and we mix it with the pig's meat. And the Most High told us we would do that as our result of our father's sin. You say, where did he tell us that? Ezekiel chapter 4. Back to that prophet Ezekiel that tell us all things. Ezekiel chapter 4. I want you to notice Ezekiel chapter 4. Ezekiel 4. I want you to notice Ezekiel 4, verses 9 down to verse 13. Watch it. Watch it. This is why we ate pork. This is why we still eat abominable stuff. Notice, take thou also unto thee wheat and barley and beans and lentils and millet and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon thy side, 390 days thou shalt eat thereof. And thy meat which thou shalt eat shall be by weight, 20 shekels a day. From time to time thou shalt eat it. Thou shalt drink also water by measure, the sixth part of an hin. From time to time shalt thou drink. And thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that cometh out of a man in their sight. And Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. That's why we ate pork. Because the Most High drove us into the Gentiles' land and told us, you're going to eat defiled bread. Why? Because you want to worship these other gods of the heathens. You want to keep their laws instead of mine. You want to reject Messiah that's coming to save you. I'm going to have you go eat defiled bread with them. I'm going to have you do that. You go ahead and do that. See how that works out for you. See, that's why we know we are the Hebrews. We are the ones. We are the ones. We come off them shave slips and they give us that defiled bread. We know we the ones. Okay? We know we the ones. Praise the Most High Yah. No other people been treated like that. No other people been treated like that. Most other people, they just get killed. They just kill them, right? They just kill them. If there's slaughters of other peoples of the earth, they just go in and kill them. Like Japanese just went ahead and killed Chinese. Just went ahead and killed them. But no, they took us for slaves and gave us defiled bread to eat. Just as the Bible said they would. That's why we know we the people. We're the people. It's us. It's us. But now we have been awakened. Now the awakening has begun. And we are back to Deuteronomy chapter 14. Praise the Most High Yah. And no, we don't want to eat that swine no more. There's no Hebrew that will be eating any swine. No Hebrew that will be eating any blood. You're going to be strict about this because now your father. You see, brothers and sisters, we're going to talk more about this later. But listen, we are repentant of our sins and we know the sins of our fathers. That's the thing. We are repentant of sin. People think repentance is just because when you was young, you used to use drugs. Maybe you was a young girl and you was a hoe. Maybe you acted up and you got to repent of your sin. Well, yeah, it's true. You got to repent of your sin. But that's just not total repentance. You got to repent of the sins of your fathers as well. That's total repentance. Your sins and the sins of your fathers. So yes, when Hebrew repents, he got to repent of his sin and he got to know the sins of his fathers and turn away from them sins. Because that's where we at. The sins of our fathers and our sins put us in this situation. People like to look at the so-called white man. Look at the so-called white man railing against him. I'm not saying the so-called white man, and I say so-called, I'm going to explain that to you later as well. I'm going to say so-called because the real truth is there's no such thing as a white man. You say, what? Yeah, there's no such thing as a white man. Well, we're going to talk about that. But the so-called white man, people rail against him because of what he has done to the so-called Negro, what he has done to us and how he has enslaved us and fed us swine. But we need to remember, he was allowed to do that to us. Yes, he's going to pay the penalty for that. The Most High is going to handle that business. The Bible shows us he's going to handle that business. But we don't be needing to rail against them. Our problem was with the Most High Yah and with the sins of our fathers. That's our problem, and we need to handle that business. We need to go back to him and say, we have sinned, and we repent for our sins and the sins of our fathers, just like Daniel did. Just like Daniel did. We need to do that. So no, we don't eat no swine. No, we don't eat no blood. No, we don't eat the fat of the animal. No. We might eat the animal, but that ain't going to be no blood present. No blood present, even if you need to cut it all off the bone and you need to boil it, right? Even if you need to cut it all off the bone and you need to boil it, you need to make sure ain't no blood in there. You hear me? You need to make sure ain't no blood in there. And don't eat the liver. Don't eat the heart. Don't eat the intestines of the animal. Don't eat the kidneys of the animal, brothers and sisters. If you're gonna eat it, make sure there's no blood in it. Eat all the shoulder, the thighs, and the breast, and make sure the blood's not in it. Cut the fat off of it. Make sure it's organic, kosherized if possible. Make sure all of that before you, because it's not about just trying to be clean. It's trying to be clean for the Most High Yah. It's trying to keep his commandments, statutes, and judgments. You just don't go and pick up some chopped meat and eat it. Don't do that if you're an Israelite. Let the heathen do that. That's not for us. Praise the Most High Yah. Or you can be wise and just avoid the problem altogether and just go vegetarian. You could do that. Avoid the problem altogether. You could do that. Some people say, oh man, that's hard. That's hard. You know what's really hard? The curse, the cancer they got to be cutting up out of you because you got cancer because the curse is on you because you done been eating all the blood and the fat of the animal. That is hard, man. Having all of them tubes up in you and then putting all of them drugs in you and them experimenting on you. That's really hard, man. That's hard. Giving up some flesh ain't hard. It ain't. And you know what makes it difficult for people to give up flesh? I'm going to be honest and tell the truth about it. Like, it's the blood, man. It's the blood. That make it hard. It's the blood, man. It's the blood that make it hard for people to give up meat. You know why? You know how I know that? Hey, any of y'all ever been around a dog when it had blood, when it done ate blood? You know, when they want to make a dog crazy, they feed it blood. Why? Because it becomes bloodthirsty. It will eat anything that has blood in it. That's why. And that's why we have trouble getting off, especially that beef. We have trouble getting up off it. Why? Because of really it's the blood we eat. It's the blood we eat. Really, it's that. That's why we have trouble getting up off it. Okay? It's the blood. Blood is addictive. The devil make it addictive. People say, oh, I can't give up meat. No, really what you can't give up is blood. You can't. That's the problem. You can't. And the fat, animal fat. They like the fat on that steak, man. It'd be sizzling. The fat be sizzling. They like the fat sizzling on that thing. And that unclean meat and that fat, you be just eating it. And you can't stop. You are completely addicted. It ain't the flesh. It ain't. It's the blood and the fat. Try it. Try that. Try to eat it without the blood and the fat. You won't be addicted. Try that. But it's going to be expensive unless you catching some deer, right? And that's what some people do. They catch some deer meat and they freeze it, and they be having meat for like 3, 4 months, right? Catch a couple of deer, you dress it, get that blood out of it, put it in the freezer, and you have deer meat for months, right? You have to worry about unclean. There you go. But you get tired of it. You get tired of it, right? There you go. All right. Anyway, let's continue. Deuteronomy chapter 14. So we're not touching that. But now let's go to verse 9. Verse 9 and 10. 9 and 10. Okay? Watch it. These ye shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales shall ye eat. Whatsoever have not fins and scales, ye may not eat. It is unclean unto you. So it's very simple. The fish thing is very simple. The Most High does not make this complicated. He makes it very simple. If it has fins and scales, you can eat it. If it does not have fins and scales, don't eat it. Does an octopus have fins and scales? No. Shrimp? No. How about crab? Does it have fins and scales? No. No. Crab does not. How about a lobster? They like to go out there and catch that lobster. Does it have fins and scales? No. You're not supposed to eat that. What about red snapper? Does red snapper have fins and scales? Does red snapper have fins and scales? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. What about whiting? Does it have fins and scales? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. What about salmon? Does salmon have fins and scales? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. See, you can eat those. Whiting. They got a fish called porgy. It's very popular on Long Island because it swims up there in them waters. It's clean. They got the salmon. Catfish. Does a catfish have fins and scales? No. It has fins, but no scales. That's right. It has fins, but no scales. No scales on the catfish. The skin is smooth. Catfish is what they call a bottom feeder. It is unclean unto us. Now, if you will notice, of course, I mentioned whiting. I mentioned porgy, right? Those have fins and scales. You can eat those. Salmon. But people be loving to eat catfish. They like lobsters, considered a delicacy, right? Lobster, crab, considered a delicacy. You people get big money. No, that's it. Whiting is whiting, like whiting, whiting, and porgy. Yeah, whiting, right, and porgy. That's the proper spelling. You got it. If you were to do Google searches on that, you'll find all about them. They have fins and scales. They're New York. New York has a lot of those because they grow off the waters on Long Island. Yeah, yeah. So you can eat clean fish. You can't eat unclean fish. And the thing about fish is when they catch the fish, right, all the guts and internal organs can be cut out at one time. It ain't like you got to go searching for them. Like they right there. I'm not even a fisherman and I know that, but you can just cut out the internal organs right there under the head of the fish. Just cut it right out. It's right there. Organs there in one place, cut them all out. All you got left is the flesh of the fish. Okay. Very, very easy. Very easy fish. All right. So fish is clean if it has fins and scales. If it doesn't have fins and scales, not clean. So you're not supposed to be eating shark. You're not supposed to be eating dolphin. You're not supposed to be eating octopus or eels. Eels, people like to eat eels. You're not supposed to be eating eels. Okay. You're not supposed to be eating crabs and lobster or clams. Clams don't have fins and scales. Not supposed to be eating clams, right? That's not for us to eat. There you go. That's stuff you don't eat. Unclean unto you. Unclean. You are holy people to the Most High Yah. You're not going to eat abominable things. And he's telling us here what's abominable. Again, I want to stress these are for Israelites. If you out here saying, I'm a Gentile, it don't apply to you. Go ahead and do whatever you want to do. That's your business. But for the Israelite nation, this is what we are about. We're about keeping our bodies for the temple of the Most High Yah. We are set apart people. He has chosen us above all the people of the earth, and he has given us. And look, man, let me tell you, have you ever eaten a salmon? Or have you ever eaten a whiting or a porgy? You know, that stuff tastes good, man. There's nothing wrong with that stuff. You don't need to eat crabs, man. You don't need to eat crabs. You don't need to eat crabs and lobsters and shrimp. You don't need to eat that stuff. You don't need to. There's plenty of good fish if you want to eat. There's plenty of clean fish to eat that are good. Okay, plenty. So you don't have to worry about eating unclean stuff. You ain't missing nothing. You ain't missing nothing. People think they missing something. If the Most High gave it to us, it's good for us. You ain't got to worry about it. You trust him. Trust him. He knows what he's doing. Okay? There you go. Okay. Let's continue. There you go. Let's continue. Deuteronomy 14. So we've covered the deer and ox, right? And unclean swine and the stuff you're not supposed to eat. We covered the fish. Now he's going to go into birds. We're going into birds. Now we're talking about Thanksgiving, right? And everybody likes to eat birds at Thanksgiving. It's kind of traditional, but really, you know, Thanksgiving is about how the European came over here and killed the Hebrew red man and took his land. That's really what Thanksgiving is about. But we can use it. We can use it as giving thanks to the Most High Yah for his blessing. But people usually use turkey. Is turkey clean? That's the question. Is turkey clean? Well, notice what it says in the scripture. Let's take a look. Of all clean birds ye shall eat. So now he said, well, of all clean birds ye shall eat. Now, what mean a bird clean? Well, this is the thing, brothers and sisters, what he's going to do here. Listen carefully. First off, if you look up the Hebrew word for the word bird, it's the word that means to hop. So it's a bird that hops on his feet. Okay, it's hops. It doesn't run like an ostrich runs. The birds hop. Okay, on the feet, right? Now, that's right. It's a bird that hop. Birds hop. Of clean birds you shall eat. So you know things that hop. Now he's telling you of these. Now he's going to tell you what not to eat. So now if it's not on this list, most likely it's clean, because he's telling you what's not clean. He's going to go into detail about what's not clean. Okay. So now if it's not on this list, then it's clean. So let's take a look at it. Okay. But of these are they of which ye shall not eat: the eagle and the ossifrage and the osprey and the glade and the kite and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl and the night hawk and the cuckoo and the hawk after his kind, the little owl and the great owl and the swan and the pelican and the gear eagle and the cormorant and the stork and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing and the bat. So now you got families of birds you should not be eating. Bat family, right? You're not eating the stork, the pelican family, the owl family, the eagle family, the vulture family, the raven family. See, so you're not eating ravens, eagles, hawks, vultures. Why? These are birds of prey. You don't eat any birds of prey. Are you following me? You notice that the clean animals are all vegetarians? Have you noticed that? That's what they have in common. The clean animals are vegetarians. That's a good litmus test. If the animal's a vegetarian, most likely you can eat it. Okay? And I mean natural vegetarian. So a turkey is clean, right? Turkey is clean. Of course, you're just going to make sure that the blood is drained from it. Now, turkey is generally a white meat, and you don't usually see blood in it. It's usually a white meat, and you don't usually see blood in it, right? Yeah, right. So there's no blood. You're not eating blood. Just got to make sure there's no fat on it, because they like to fatten them up for Thanksgiving. Make sure it's an organic turkey. You know, they grass fed. They're not feeding it nothing. You know, you make sure you get that off of it. And there, the turkey meat is clean. A chicken would be clean, but the chickens they sell in the supermarket are unclean for the same reason And the chickens they sell in McDonald's and these fat are unclean for the same reason that the beef is unclean. They don't drain the blood. They feed it all kind of chemicals. It's killed improperly, and therefore eating that stuff is no good. Okay, if you're going to eat a chicken, again, you want to make sure it's organic, it's grass fed, it's been killed properly. You understand? Y'all follow me? It's been killed properly, then you can eat a chicken. So now, you got people that grow chickens. I know, I've known people that grow their own chickens, eat their own egg, kill their own chicken. That's more healthier if you're going to eat a chicken, because now you got your grass-fed chicken, you killed it. Generally, you don't want to strangle it, though, but that's what they do. You want to cut the neck of the chicken. You don't want to strangle it. That's what they strangle the birds. You don't want supposed to strangle the animal, but they strangle it. But you want to cut the neck off. You want to drain the blood out of it, and then you want to, of course, you want to go ahead and take the feathers off, defeather it, and all that stuff. But that's your best bet of clean animal. Okay, there you go. So turkey's generally clean, but I'm questioning even the turkey. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but they strangle turkeys. They put them in this chute and they strangle, break the neck. But I don't know if that's considered strangling or they just break the neck. I don't know. See, I really don't know that one. You guys got to follow that for yourself. I don't know. But I know there's no blood in it. So you can know that white meat has no blood in it. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay? I try to stay away from all of that as much as possible. But, you can eat, you can eat. Most High gives you permission to eat certain things, and you can eat it. It's up to you. That's your personal choice. Up to you. Okay? That's why people will say, people get real crazy. I had one guy, he had this angry look on his face. You telling me I shouldn't eat meat? And I tell him, look, man, what you eat is your business. And what I eat is my business. And I ain't asking you what you, because he saw me eating a big bowl of fruit. And I said, I eat mostly fruit. What you trying to tell? I said, I ain't trying to tell you nothing about what you eat. That's your business. And what I eat is my business. Okay? If I'm eating Oreo cookies, that's my business. If you eating, if you eating a rack of pork rib, that's your business. It's your business. You understand? I'm speaking to Israelites. I'm not speaking to Gentiles. I'm speaking to Israel. That's right. People get angry because you see, and I've had people, like I said, that dude that was getting angry at me, he came to me and asked me about what I was eating. I ain't say nothing to him. And I'm just minding my business. And I told him, I said, what you eat is your business, man. What I eat is mine. Or he turned around and said, good, go about your business, man. That's just going to show the people know, man. They know. I ain't got to say nothing to them. They ain't got to say nothing to them. So anyway, so let's continue. So now you can see what birds should not be eaten. So you're not supposed to eat no owl. You're not supposed to eat no stork, no bat, no eagles. You're not supposed to eat squirrels because they chew the cud, but they don't divide the hoof. You're not supposed to eat squirrels. People eat squirrels. You're not supposed to eat rabbits. People eat rabbits. You're not supposed to eat rabbits and squirrels. You're not supposed to eat them. That's not for the Israelite. Okay? You're not supposed to eat turtles or frogs. It's not for us to eat. Okay? Turtles and frogs, not for us to eat. That's right. There you go. Okay? So you got that. That's the food we're supposed to eat. He did that for us. He got that out for us. We know we're supposed to eat. We know our history in terms of what our fathers ate and how it developed over time till we get here, and we know where we're going. Because when we get to the kingdom, we're not going to be killing animals for food. Remember what he said, what the Most High said in the prophet Isaiah. Now, there's some discrepancy in the prophet Zechariah, but I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. But in the prophet Isaiah, notice what he said, Isaiah chapter 65, Isaiah 65, verse 25. Isaiah 65, verse 25. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountains, saith Yahweh. So no animal's going to be eating each other for food, and we're not going to be killing them to eat for food.
Okay, we're not going to be killing them to eat for food. There's not going to be any bloodshed on the king. But you know, Zechariah says something that could confuse certain people. Zechariah says something that could confuse certain people. Let's take a look at Zechariah chapter 14. Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14, verse 20. Zechariah 14, actually, I'm going to start at verse 16 and read down to verse 20. Zechariah 14 from verse 16 to 20. Some people may get confused. I did at first, but the Most High has shown me some things, and I'm going to share that with you. Zechariah chapter 14, verses 16 to 20. Notice what it says. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacle. And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite the heathen that come not up to the feast of tabernacle. This shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacle. And in that day there shall be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto Yahweh. And the pots of Yahweh's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto Yahweh of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them and seethe therein. And in that day there shall be no more Canaanite in the house of Yahweh of hosts. So it appears here that we're going to obviously keep feasts in the kingdom, because the feasts are a celebration of us being in the land. So we're going to keep the feast of the tabernacles. But it talks about seething. See, that's where they boiled the flesh in the pots. They seethed the flesh for the sacrifice at the Feast of the Tabernacles, and they seethed it to make sure all the blood was out of it. They seethed it in the pot, and they said, they shall come and seethe therein. It gives you an indication that in the kingdom, we're going to be killing animals and eating in the Feast of Tabernacle. But I want you to understand, Zechariah is looking at this as he saw it at the time he lived. Because in his day, when they kept the Feast of the Tabernacles, that's how they did it. You understand? That's how they did it. So he's looking at it like that. We're not going to kill animals, as Isaiah says. We're not going to kill animals to eat in the kingdom. It's going to be like it was in the Garden of Eden. We're not going to have to kill anything. Animals are not going to kill each other. We're going to be in harmony and in perfect peace with nature. Nature is going to be in harmony and in perfect peace with us. Okay? Nobody's going to be scared of anybody else. We're not going to be scared of any animal, and no animal is going to be scared of us. There'll be no fear in the kingdom. Y'all follow me? Testing 1, 2, 3. I'll make sure you got that, because just in case somebody run into that and they didn't understand, they think we're going to kill animals to eat. That's not going to be the case. Okay? Not going to be the case. Okay. So I'm going to stop here because the next thing is about tithing, and I want to talk more about tithing of itself in great detail. So we're going to stop at verse 20 of Deuteronomy 14 today, and we're going to start again next Friday by the grace of the Most High Yah. Next Friday will be on location in New York City, and we're going to start there, and we're going to talk about tithing.